to my presentation. I will start with some context. Our course was developed in our endeavor at our University of Applied Sciences in Munich, in Germany, as we try to internationalize the third mission. And within this internationalization of the third mission of our university, we strongly believe that universities nowadays have to form partnerships with different stakeholders, for example, industry, governmental organizations, and civil society. That's sort of part of the background. The other part of the background or the context of our endeavor is the debate on future skills. Now, what is future skills? The idea here is that university graduates need a certain set of skills and competencies to deal with our world that is has global challenges, is very uncertain, and growing complexity. And now there's a long debate in recent years, what are these future skills? What are the competencies that future higher education graduates really need, apart from the domain knowledge? And I will quickly go through 4 different answers to these questions. What are these future skills that framed our work in the innovation challenge that I will report on in this talk? One of these studies is a recent Delphi study that focuses on these future skills, and the overall set of skills differentiates between subject-oriented skills like personal agility, self-efficacy, self-initiative, autonomy, and object-related skills like ability to reflect, digital literacy, creativity, for example, and world-related, as they call it, skills, for example, communication skills, cooperation skills, sense-making skills. That is one set of future skills that have been established by research. Another one is based on a study and report by the German Stifterverband and McKinsey in 2018, and they basically looked at which skills are missing in the future. And they had 3 broad clusters, like they say we need tech specialists, do blockchain and UX design and all these technical skills. But also they said everybody needs key digital qualifications, regardless of which domain they study in, like data literacy and virtual collaboration. That's part of the key digital qualifications. And then, of course, a third cluster is the classic competencies, the non-digital skills like entrepreneurial thinking, adaptability. That's part of this framework. A third framework looks at the entrepreneurial skills, and actually it's a recent study from the European Union, and they call entrepreneurship a transversal competence, which is actually useful in all areas of life. And what are these entrepreneurial skills? They define 3 different areas. For example, ideas and opportunities, spotting opportunities, creativity, to create a vision, sustainable thinking, and also resources with sort of self-awareness, motivation. And the third cluster with this entre-comp scheme is, they call it interaction, like taking the initiative, planning and management of resources, of personnel, coping with uncertainty, ambiguity and risk, and collaborating with others. That's the third framework I would like to use. The fourth one, I hope I can, is the idea that is coined by the UNESCO, the UN Educational Organization. They call it the Global Citizenship Organization, Education, and they have 3 areas on level. They say on a cognitive level, everybody should be knowledgeable about local issues, regional issues, national and global issues. And on a socio-emotional level, we should all, or university graduates, should feel they belong to a common humanity, a worldwide community of people. And on the behavioral level, university graduates should be able to act effectively and responsibly at a local level, at a regional level, at a national level, and most importantly, also on a global level, because we have global challenges we're facing. Okay, this is the framework. The four competency frameworks have, as you could have seen, several things in common. They have detail in details they are different, but basically I think the direction is clear, and what researchers are also quite agreed upon is that educational designs that foster the acquisition of such future skills need to be special again. They need to be empowering, experiential, cooperative, and reflective. And I will just share with you one example that we developed at our university and share some insights and evaluation results. Our endeavor was called International Virtual Innovation Challenges. We have implemented it 2 years round, and it's really what the title says. It's an innovation challenge for students, for an international group of students, and it was taught entirely online, and the international teams worked entirely online as well. Okay, what was it about? It had, obviously, as an online course, synchronous teaching elements with video conferences and asynchronous elements with lots of pre-recorded videos for certain knowledge areas, and discussion forums and other collaborative tools to work together online, because we had different nationalities on board. Okay, what was the basic idea? It was a real project, like 3 different partner organizations, the Munich Labor Department, the National German Ski Federation, and the municipal branch of a youth organization in Munich. They gave challenges, broad challenges they busy with, and the idea was that students come up with solutions for these challenges via digital tools. That was the overall frame. And you can see, for example, the youth branch, they set the challenge, the future of youth participation, how to empower the youngsters, and how could you propose solutions with digital media for it. Okay, now I want to particularly focus, how do we support such a demanding learning process in an international group from different countries. I think we had 8 different countries, students from 8 different countries on board from our partner universities. It was a real challenge from different stakeholders, as I just outlined. It was a broad, open innovation challenge with lots of uncertainty. So surely we needed to build in support measures. And these support measures, I call them here scaffolding, like a scaffold that gives you a little bit of something to grab on from if you move from A to B. One scaffold measure or support measure was what you see here in this graphic, a design thinking innovation process. It differentiates 10 different steps when you create digital solutions for a global challenge. This was one support measure. On top of it, we had team coaching installed for each team that worked together. The other support measure was that prototyping was done here with no or with low code tools, so students did not have to have programming skills. And because we wanted to foster reflection skills, we had a lot of reflection prompts during the whole the course of this Global Innovation Challenge. There's something wrong here, sorry. Okay, I go back. Also, we had some support measures in place that helped us as a university to further use all these material that was developed and to bring these innovative interdisciplinary innovation challenges to many more colleagues and to make it available. So we had a storytelling-based video documentation for the whole project. We had reflection reports from the external coaches that supported the team building of the students. And very importantly, all pre-recorded video lectures for the asynchronous component in our teaching. They are stored in a ready-to-reuse repository platform. So all colleagues, even if they're not involved in this project, may use them later on at our university. And all the solutions that students created to these challenges, all the team's documentations is published open access on a GitHub server. So it also gives inspiration to our partners from the city of Munich, from NGOs and public organizations.
You have 3 minutes left.
Okay, so what were the evaluation results? Basically, all teams, and student teams, delivered solutions and finished successfully. As you see, we had 41 students from 8 different countries, and I just had a small quote from one of the students who really liked the real-time, the real-life challenge because it was meaningful, who liked to work in an international team, and who liked the coaching particularly. That was part of the results. Some other results, we used the scheme of empowering experiential, cooperative, and reflective that I introduced earlier. Empowering, I think this design is because students really were entrusted with a real-life challenge. And experiential, yes, students actually developed something that got appreciated by stakeholders from outside the universities. Cooperative, yes, interdisciplinary, international students teams formed, and they had team building and support by external coaches who were not involved in the grading. And reflective, yeah, we had process reflection by the coaches in every phase of the overall course. I will skip this because this was just an internal comparison of 2 different sets that we used, and we found that the perceived entrepreneurial competencies really students felt they gained a lot of these skills in the student evaluation, and we feel with such a design we can really internationalize the higher education third mission, the transfer, the cooperation with stakeholders outside of the university. And I will finish with saying we think this really is important because we do face global challenges and we need to equip our students to solve these global challenges. And if you're interested, I'm here for questions, plus there is a lot of material on our website to dig deeper into the overall course and the project. So thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you, Patricia, for your great presentation. Perfect timing. This has been a very interesting and inspiring as well, I believe. So are there any questions from the audience? Please type into the chat or just unmute and make your comments. I think we need some warming up in this stage. So could you tell us a little bit about the cultural context? You said there's several international students involved in this and partner universities. So did you encounter any issues in curriculum design focusing on cultural context of these students?
Yeah, sure. It's interdisciplinary, that's a challenge, and the different learning cultures, like we had partners from the US, Cal Poly, from Finland, from Tampere. So you can imagine, okay, it's all Western industrialized countries that we cooperated in this project. So it's not entirely different, but still there are differences in learning cultures. And that's what the teams had to come to terms with, in addition to the challenge that was challenging as well. But the coaches helped them quite a lot because they reflected on the differences. And so there were obviously in some teams misunderstandings and, how to get into a collaborative working mode. But by the help of the external coaches, over the time, they solved these challenges. And if in the overall evaluation, only 4 students out of our 41 commented on problems in the collaboration. I think this is, considering they also had a time span from about 10 hours, I think that's a pretty good result.
Yes, I fully agree. This is great empirical evidence you're providing here towards the success of your program. I want to go back to these teams again. So you said they're interdisciplinary on the one side, internationally on the other side, and you have these coaches. So they are human coaches, of course. So now looking at the current developments in AI, would there be also a possibility to have like artificial intelligence supporting the teams, like using a bot to solve cultural barriers or interdisciplinary understanding of concepts which might be received differently? Do you think that would be a step for, or a next future step for your project as well?
A nice idea. I definitely. Oh, I have checked it again. Strange. Anyhow, nice idea, Dirk, and we will definitely follow up on that. Right now, I would say, from at least as my knowledge is, such bots, such technical solutions could have done a little bit of things like time management and finding a good time slot for the teams to meet, sort of basic things. But for this learning experience, which came with so many different challenges, because so many different people involved, different stakeholders, people outside the university, I personally believe right now we don't have any artificial intelligence solutions or bots or whatever who could deal with that complexity already. I think it would have been overkill. The students had to come to terms with all the online tools, with very different, many different tools, and the human person, the external coach, added also a bit of social glue in it, especially in pandemic times. So right now, for this way, I think the AI solution, I can't see it today, but yeah, let's see where we are in 5 or 10 years. I'm open for it.
I do agree on this. So Julia had a question in the chat. So speaking about reflection, I feel that many times students reflect more on the project itself, but on their own performance in the project. So it's really the reflection of the learning process, I believe, and the outcomes, which is highlighted here. So how did you guide them on the particular matter in your project, Patricia?
Yeah, I fully agree, Julia, with your comment or your question, and that is also a challenge for us as lecturers. But we guided the students for the reflection really with reflective questions, and we also discussed with them, or we had a pre-recorded video on different models for reflection, like a very simple one, what did I do, which challenges did I encounter, how did I solve them, what would I take to the future challenge. So that pushed them, I think these guided questions pushed students to go more into this, what did I do, which choices did I have, why did I opt for which choice that I actually did, and less so on the actual content of, how do I help the ski for the federation. But I agree, the tendency is there, and I think it's depends on good guided questions, and again on our external coaches who already put it onto this level of team building and personal reflection, personal professional growth. That was the overall framing, and that helped in this situation.
Thank you, Patricia. There's a comment left in the chat as well. As time is short here, thank you again, Patricia, for your insightful presentation and your great comments towards the questions. But we have to move on, and